Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
So I'm seeing very less participants till now. So should we wait?
37 were there. Some of them have joined as a group.
Okay, no problem then. So now I think last session, some of you really did good presentation. So thank you for your presentations. So still there were some basically group who has not done the presentation. So I will start with them who has not done the presentation, right? So let me see, in fact, so which are the team which has this one center which has not done the presentation, that is Chirag Infotech. So Chirag Infotech is there today?
Sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon.
Sir, I'm Mohammed Sadiq, pursuing my final year BA from Chirag Infotech Shivamogga. Sorry for the inconvenience, sir, because we had final year SEM exams were going on. So today we had the last exam, so we couldn't able to prepare the presentation. So we'll try to present in the next class.
Okay. So I've got two teams. So both the teams are the same situation. Hello, the next team. So one is chatbot, another is agriculture. So both of you have the same problem?
Yes, sir. They are having the same problem, sir.
Okay. So let me take a note of this. Just keep me informed, so it will be good so that. So then I go to the team who has not done the presentation, right? VVS Shahapur, I think some of you have not done the presentation. So are you ready today? Or hello, team? No answer, okay. Next is basically OCS. So are you ready today for the presentation? See, these are good for you only. So the more you do the presentation, more you speak, it will be good for you. So can I have your presentation, please? Harilakshmi ma'am, is anybody from OCS LLP out there?
Sir, I'm calling them. They are not receiving my call. I'll just call them.
Okay, then Dynamic Infotech, Kundapura. So I think few of you have not done the presentation. You said you will going to do this week, this session. So are you ready? Can you do the presentation, please? Hello, Dynamic Infotech.
Anybody is there from Dynamic Infotech? Teams who are all ready, no? At least you can come up and tell. Sir is calling each and everybody, no? Dynamic Infotech. Somebody is there, huh?
Hello.
You are logged in, no?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah. Please speak.
Hello, ma'am. There is some inconvenience in the team, so we'll present it next time.
Huh? What is the problem? Please come up. Please speak. Dynamic Infotech.
There is exam going. There is SEM exam going on. So we'll present it next class.
Who is your L2?
Ashwin.
Huh?
Ashwin, sir.
Ashwin, huh? Please, you have completed your presentation?
Okay, so who is
Yeah.
ready? Team, please let me know who is ready, because I'm just calling your name. I see Vaishnavi Info Mysore. You have also not done the presentation. So are you ready today to do the presentation? Udaya Technology Mysore. So anybody from the Mysore? Harilakshmi ma'am, can you please check with L2 whether they're ready for the
Yes, sir.
session?
Yes, sir. Sir, this is Shweta here, sir.
Yes, Hetal.
Yes. Yes, sir. I'll just speak to them and update you, sir.
Sure. Then otherwise I will move on to the next session, right? So I wanted everybody to be a new topic, new interesting topic we can discuss together, but if people are not joining, they will miss that.
Sir.
And it is always good that all of you do the presentation on time. Then you will yourself see where you stand and what are the improvements you are required, if anything is there. That will only help you, right? So that is why I've been asking you to do the presentation so that I can provide what you need to take care. See, in corporate world, what happens is that if you have been given a presentation to do it, you need to know what is the scope and also which is your target audience, right? Based on that, you have to prepare and you have to do the presentation. Like some of you has done a presentation, which is not the topic I have given to you, right? You have to focus on what has been given to you. You have to study yourself and create the presentation and do the presentation, right? This will only help you to basically have better knowledge, have good speaking capability, and also the confidence that you will get during the presentation, because there are so many other people also will be looking at you to have a good presentation, right? So some of you have already had done a very good presentation. Okay. See, if you have not prepared on this, we will go and start on the new area, right? So I will start in a minute. Okay, students, so let me share my screen. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have gone through basically AI, we have gone through IoT, and you have done some, was asked you to do some presentation, because these are all linked to what I have been taking you through the sessions, right? And I have given you high level idea how basically the SAP org structure, the most important thing, that is how the foundation is there. Now we will go into a different topic altogether, and that is basically cloud computing. So I just wanted to know from all of you what you understand by cloud computing. Hello, students. So please let me know what you understand by cloud computing. So cloud computing is basically the on-demand availability of computer system, right? So I think you have been using all your Gmail, you have been using basically the yahoo.com, right? Or emailing. So that is basically what is there. That is part of your cloud infrastructure that have been you've been using, right? I will come to you the difference between the SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. That is in the next slide. I will explain to you. So what it does, right? So it basically provides the the resources, especially the data storage, right? So and also the computing power without direct active management by the users. That is what you have been seeing when you do sending an email that you have been using in Gmail. Or nowadays you have seen you have got multiple photos you have been taken in your mobile phone, right? You have been storing them in your Google Cloud. And if your mobile is lost also, you don't have to worry because from anywhere, you can just access those photos or the documents and you can use it, right? So this is basically how you can basically nowadays use it, right? Or some of you are using the Microsoft Dynamics 365 and you have seen that how you can use it and your data are stored in a cloud, so you don't have to worry. And this is all basically helping you in your day-to-day life. In case, for example, SAP also, it has moved into the cloud. For example, there are public cloud, there are private cloud, and so any other ERP system, if you see Microsoft, Oracle, they are also providing the ERP on the cloud, right? So what is happening here? You have the application, you have the platform, and you have the infrastructure, right? Now, for example, any questions? Hello, student, any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Now, coming to this, you have seen that you have the application, right? You are using this like the monitoring or the collaborations, right? Or you have been seeing, you have been interacting, right, with your friends also. How you're doing that? For example, you're using WhatsApp, right? So that is where you have able to do that because those are the infrastructure and the software, everything is hosted on a cloud, right? Now, for a web designer, you're developing an app, right? You don't basically want to put the app on the cloud, right? You basically, what you need to do, you need to know what are the functionalities you can do to do that and how you can do it, right? The best thing is that there are some apps already available that is a SaaS model, right? Where it is called basically, what is SaaS? Tell me what is SaaS? Hello, student. What is SaaS? I hope all of you have heard of SaaS. Hello, student. Have you heard of SaaS?
No, sir.
SaaS.
No.
SaaS is a software as a service. PaaS is platform as a service, and IaaS is basically infrastructure as a service. Okay, so I just want to give you a high-level glimpse on those because this will be coming to you on your day-to-day work when you start working and being into the IT professionals, or whether you're not in IT also, you should be aware of this, right? Like for example, in case of SaaS, already the apps is there. You can use that app for maybe your web design or this thing. In case of PaaS, for example, you want to change the app, some development permission will be given to you. You can make those changes using Python or Java, right? And infrastructure as a service is that you will be able to.
Sir, excuse me, sir, sorry for the interruption.
Yes.
Is SaaS is like is completely for the data management, or it includes all of the like security or the cyber issues or the security.
Well, I will come when I go to the cybersecurity. I will let you know. SaaS is basically software as a service, where you will be provided the platform, the infrastructure, and also the software. Like in case of if you go for a Gmail, you're typing, right? You have got no authority to change basically the how basically it works, right? You cannot change the protocol. You cannot change basically the look and feel of it, right? Of course, they can give you some personalized based on whatever they define. You can only make few changes, right? But you are not authorized to do anything because that is a software as a service. You are using that software only to use for that purpose what is been given to you for only sending mails, type mails, receive mails like that, right? But you cannot change the whole product as such. Okay, so that is, let me walk you through and you will understand the pros and cons of the SaaS also. Okay, I go to the next slide. So here, as you can see, the cloud computing relies on sharing the resources to achieve the coherence and typically pay as you go. That is basically the more you use, you have to pay more. So what happens, as you know, everybody nowadays is cost conscious. If you create a huge infrastructure and you're not able to use it, then it's a waste of money and you will not get the return on the investment you are doing, right? And which will enable you to make such investment and you will not go for that service. Now, if you, for example, you are basically, if you have the Dropbox, for example, or where you, depending on the storage you want, you have to pay as a monthly rent or as a yearly rent. Now, similarly, any ERP, the number of users or the volume of the transaction, based on that you have to pay to the product company, right? So this enables you to have a minimum cost and also manage that cost. Whereas if you have wanted to set up the whole thing, it would have to cost you much, much more. And since it's like a monthly payment you have to do, you will be able to manage whatever the income you're having from your business, and you will be able to manage that also. So doing this, you are basically reducing your capital expenses. But of course, it may increase your operating expenses for the users. Now, if you want to have overall, if you want to do an investment and do it, maybe per user cost should have come down. But since your capital investment is not there, you are only doing the operating cost. They also need to have a margin, right? Otherwise, they will not give that service. Now, what are the things? For example, you have got the web browsers, mobile apps, right? As I told you, the WhatsApp, Instagram, right? You have the Facebook. So all those are basically what you are seeing are using the cloud computing. They have been stored that information data that is, if there is a hacking on that, and you have seen some of the case of Facebook also, some data has been stolen by the hackers. And of course, that are the cons of that. But as such, what is happening, you are able to use those, right? Otherwise, in social media, how will you going to connect your friends and your relatives? Similarly, the IoT devices also, if you see, we have gone through the IoT, they're basically the devices using the sensors, they collect the data and they send it to the cloud storage. And from their cloud storage, then basically those data are retrieved. And based on that, people make smart, basically, using the informations, they have basically better, they can use those data, right? And also using the machine learning or deep learning, using the pattern or basically what are the information that are available, they can also predict what is the trend or future trend. So those are the coming, using the big data analytics can be done. So somewhere you need to have huge volume of data need to be stored, which you cannot store in your hard disk, right? So that is how another reason why the using the cloud, you can save those data. So SaaS is basically where you have the CRM, ERP, web conferencing, or group chat, email, analytics, or virtual desktops or games. I think most of you play games also. Like you have seen the Pokemon or those things. So those are basically using the SaaS model where the app is already there. You're interacting with that, and the information and data are stored into the cloud, right? Next is basically the cloud platform or the PaaS. I'll just give you some example of that. So what is happening in the cloud is that you have got a huge space online, so you're able to save the data, and also there are multiple servers, and based on the servers, you're able to store a lot of data, and the data orchestration also can be done there. And SaaS is basically on-demand service. It's independent of platform, and no need to install it on a PC. You can use it from anywhere, and resources managed by the vendor who uses it, right? So that is one of the advantage of having a SaaS, right? And who are the users? End users, as I told you, right? For example, the ERP, if you want to use like Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, right? Or basically you're using like a WhatsApp, or you're playing any games, right? So those are the, you're sending mails. So those are the users that are there. Next is basically what are the pros? It is universally accessible. So anywhere, wherever you have got internet, you can go and access it. You don't have to worry on that. Next is that there is an excellent for the collaboration or the working. See, student, if you want to do an online, some kind of a case study you want to do, maybe some of you are into the remote places, some of you are not in the same location, you can use like a Teams or anything like that. You can collaborate among them yourself, and you can also start working together. For example, you want to take a project where you can usually work in a group, and you can collaborate, you're working, and you can store, you can discuss, right? And this will be going to benefit you in your studies or in your work also. Next is that the vendor, most important thing is provides the software tools for multiple tenants, and software are made available to you. And with this software made available to you, you are able to use it, right? So here, basically, if there is any cybersecurity issues or this thing, I think somebody you asked me. Of course, when we go to the cybersecurity, I will take you a session on that, or the security aspect. Then you will get more clarity. But just to let you know, here in the case of SaaS model, the security part of it also is generally taken care by the software provider, right? So that is why if you in WhatsApp for any hitch happens, right? Not in Facebook any hitch happens, it is basically the product, or basically Facebook or WhatsApp, right, or Twitter, they need to take care of it. Maybe you can complain about the problem, but generally you don't have the right to resolve those security issues. They have to do it. I hope I answered your question. Hello?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great. Now, there are also some cons, right? Now, cons, it has to be problem is the portability, right? You cannot go and use it in a different purpose. Whatever the software is meant for, you have to use it for that only. Of course, sometimes you see some browsing issue. I think some of you have seen that if you have played in Pokemon or other games also, sometimes there are some problems with this thing, because if the network is not good, you cannot basically browse it properly. And also some compliance restriction. You have seen a lot of basically software like TikTok is banned in India. So if it is do not fulfill the requirement of the country, or if it is their compliance restrictions are there. And also, for example, if you know, in Europe, there is GDPR. Now, there are some data, it cannot be exported outside Europe. So those are the things one need to take care, and it should not basically provide any data which is restricted by the law of that land to outside that country, right? Next is internet dictates over the performance. So if you go to a remote place where the internet, there is a problem or network issues, then what will happen? You will have a major performance problem, right? So it will not work, and your basically the user experience that you are having will not be there. Understood about SaaS? Any questions? Now let's move on to the PaaS. PaaS is basically what? It is basically a platform as a service where your programming language, OS, server, database, these are the things the platform is providing it to you, right? But as a developer, you have got some authority to make and change some of the software or basically the output look and feel. So generally, in case of an ERP where there is a private cloud, they provide as a platform as a service, and where you can basically do the configurations, you can make some changes, right? And those are basically, it will be allowed to you. So you can basically build and compile and also run programs, right? User manages the data and application resources. And who uses it? It is basically the developers. They use this. Example, Google App Store, creating your own app. So in the Google App Store, if you want to create your own app, you can do it. Whereas in case of SaaS, you are not allowed to create your own app. Okay. Now I move on to the next thing is that what it does, it is the service provider provides complete platform to use. That means the provider take care of the underlying part of the infrastructure, understand, of the platform, and not to the entire extent, but more to that what happens in SaaS. For example, your servers are taken care of, your virtual machines are taken care, and with the predefined tools, you can create your own application, right? As I have given before also, using the Google App Engine or Google Play Store, where you can place your own app, or you have the freedom of creating your own application. But the basic infrastructure that are providing with the platform or the virtual machines, that will be taken care by the vendor. You cannot have any rights to that in the platform. And you're only bothered of your own data and your own application that you maintain in this app that you are creating. So I hope now you understand what is the difference between SaaS and a PaaS, right? So now some of the pros of PaaS, it is basically scalable and cost effective, right? Faster market for the developers, if you want to create your own app or do this, enhance your business, you will take help of a PaaS. Using PaaS, you can do your development and easy development of your web application. So some of you have taken web applications or web basically development. So for them, you need to know what you as the cloud platform you should select and what it can be help. Because if you have the infrastructure is taken care of the vendor, you can do your web development, right? And all those things you can do in web applications. And this can be either be private or it can be public. The cons for the PaaS are the provider language only. If the provider provide only that language, you need to use that language. You cannot change that language. Developers, there are limitations on the development also. You are not given a free hand to do each and everything because the platform is owned by them. You should not do something that basically damages the whole platform. There are also sometimes the migration issues. Since the platform, which is basically those basically software you need to use, which basically allowed by the platform owner, right? You cannot use any open source software you like, which are those software that the platform owner will be allowing you. You can only use that. And also what happens, the vendor lock-in, because a vendor has made an investment on this platform, right? So they will also try to give you a lock-in, maybe 3 years, 5 years, that you need to be locking into their for the app that you have created or this thing, so that they get a proper rent on from you, or basically the service charges, right? So you have understood what is SaaS, you have understood what is PaaS. Now I go to the IaaS. That is basically the virtual machines, where the your vendor is providing you the storage, the balances, networking, where they're enable you to use your own platform, right? You can have your Oracle platform, you can have basically HANA platform, whatever platform you want to have, you can have. Now, based on that, you can basically manage your own platform, manage your own development, manage your look and feel of the product or app, right? So IaaS basically provides the computing architecture and infrastructure, the data, the storage, the virtualization, and the servers and networking, right? So this is what in the IaaS you can do. The vendor manages this above resources. So the vendor manages the storage, the networking, and the servers. They provide you the infrastructure, and based on that, and on top of it, you can develop. And basically, as a person, what you can do, you can handle the data and the middleware, right? So who uses this is basically the system administrators. They uses the IS. Understood? Any question? Then let's go to the IS, basically pros and cons.
So, who uses the IS? Most of
It
the
is system administrators. The system administrators will use it for this because the infrastructure, data servers, the networking, the storage, all those will be provided by the vendor, right?
Sir, is it possible for a layman to create their own cloud, sir?
For a layman, it is not possible because you need to have an investment, right? You need to have the servers. Then you have to manage those, the networking, you need to manage the platform, right? Only then you will be able to provide service. Now, of course, you have got AWS cloud, that is Amazon services. You have got Google Cloud, right? You have got Microsoft Cloud. Also, there are some companies like IBM, they provide the cloud, or basically Apple, they have got iCloud, or Alibaba, they provide the cloud. So you can take one of those cloud because they have got investment, huge amount of money. For example, Amazon, they have invested billions of dollars, right? Now, if you want to start your own basically cloud, right, you need to have that kind of funding.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
One what is the minimum storage or the data management level of creating a cloud?
It depends upon, because generally when you create a cloud, right, it is basically, rather than keeping it into your on-premise, you're putting that the whole data you can manage on cloud. But ultimately, it's those servers, right? It is not put it into the cloud, right? It is into some data centers. And from data centers, using basically the network, it will be those data you can put into a cloud. And for that, a lot of protocols are there. And also the security aspect also need to be taken care so that people cannot hack it. And those are the investment software one need to manage. You need to have data center management team to manage those servers, right? So those are basically depending upon basically the amount and volume of data you can do it. So there is no limitation as such. But of course, for small this thing, you can use your desktop that also stores data. So as you can understand, only when the requirement is quite huge, then you're going to keep it on cloud. But nowadays, for example, you have got high-end desktops also, which provides a good amount of data storage. Next is why people want to go for cloud, because of the cost, because otherwise you need to make a huge investment on those infrastructure. Whereas if you go to the cloud, you just pay as per your use. Now, coming to the IS, the pros are basically that it provides the cloud provides infrastructure, enables scalability, dynamic workloads are supported, and some of the cons are security issues, service delays, and network delays. If the network is not properly, there's some problem, then you as a user, you will face a major problem. And applications are data middleware are taken care by you, whereas it can be either be a public cloud, it can be private cloud, or it can be hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is that where some of the systems of storage, it can be in public and some can be on private. For example, if you take a SAP environment for a company, if you see Ariba is basically a public cloud, right? Now, if you go for SuccessFactors, it is also public cloud. But whereas basically the private cloud, it can have basically your ERP system can be on a private cloud. So it can have a hybrid system of public and private cloud, or it can be on-premise also. For that, you can calling from basically Ariba, which is in public cloud, to your on-premise system. So there can be multiple ways one can adopt into the infrastructure they can set up, right?
So what is how do you differentiate the private and the public clouds?
Private cloud is only meant for you, that is single users. You are the only single user for the information and the data as a company. And public cloud is that, for example, there are you and more people are using the same infrastructure or the cloud, right? So of course there will be by secured, your data will be secured by that, but the same infrastructure or the servers are being used by multiple users, not by you only. Okay, so that is called public cloud.
Like as of the many apps are created, like if we
Yes,
take
those-
on to the Xiaomi, they have a cloud. So in that we create a cloud and we store our information like datas, any of the datas. So that will be considered as a private cloud or a public cloud.
It's a public cloud because multiple people are using, right? The multiple tenants are there. So it is not a private cloud. Private cloud means that only the cloud is meant for you. For example, ABC company, right? So only that ABC company data are basically stored for that company in that cloud. So other companies cannot basically come and use basically those data or the servers, right? So that is basically a private cloud. Okay, when the same infrastructure is used by multiple tenants, then it is basically a public cloud. Like if you use, for example, any social networking you're using, those are basically hosted on a public cloud. Let's go to the next this thing. So this is the cloud security and privacy concerns. As I was telling you, the cloud computing poses also some privacy concerns, right? Because you need to take care of that, because if you're hosting on a cloud, you need to have your lot of security things you need to consider. Otherwise, is the data is hacked or your private information is leaked out, or in a company, corporate, if they have that information, if those are basically hacked or taken out, then of course, people will not start using it, though the cost will be less. So we have got the cybersecurity that are coming. So as you can see, all are interrelated, right? You can see when we go for, if you want to have cloud computing, you have the services for that, but there are security reasons. And then basically one need to go into the cybersecurity aspect, the security aspect. So as you can see, for you, there are ample areas where you can think, you can work, and these are all started opening up to you, right? So you can think through and you can start thinking where your passion lies and you can work for it. And that's why I've been always been telling you, sky is also not the limit. So there are so much opportunities that are coming on your way. Only thing you need to know what is your passion and you need to work on that. Right? Next is that it could accidentally or deliberately alter or delete information. If it does, then of course it's a big problem. So generally, when any large companies or any companies, they will have a DR also, that is the disaster recovery system. So if any problem happens to the main system, they will basically have a backup, and there can be a latency of 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is they decide based on the disaster recovery system. They will also store those data so that if anything happens there, they can retrieve those data back. So many cloud providers can share information with third parties if necessary for the purpose of law and order without a warrant. So as you know, in India also, you may think all your information is private and this thing, but if the government wants, they can actually go to your WhatsApp history or your email history if it is required. Basically the provider are bound by the law and they need to provide that. And in case of India, you cannot have your storage servers outside India, right? So you need to basically, if you want to host, you need to host in India. Now, for example, there you have seen some problems as occurred in case of Zoom, that basically the Zoom, the servers are maintained in China. So there has been some security reason has been taken also. For example, TikTok also, it is also a Chinese company. So where also because of the concerns, right, it has been banned in India. So there are a lot of basically apps or this thing generally are banned because they can have the data outside India, taken outside India, and those can be used by the other agencies or which can be detrimental to that country. So how they basically those data are stored are basically those are encrypted and processed or stored in the cloud to prevent unauthorized access. Now that is why in future you will see the blockchain is going to come up with more and more. So who are interested in blockchain, it is basically is a huge potential you are going to have, because that is the way the data is structured and this thing, it's very difficult to hack the data, right? Then identity management system can also provide practical solutions to privacy concerns, the cloud computing. This system distinguishes between authorized and unauthorized persons and determine the amount of data that is accessible to each entity. Right? The system works by creating and describing the identities, recording the activities, and getting rid of the unused identities. So this is also another thing that you will find nowadays. Using the retina or your fingerprint, you will be able to access, or they will take up algorithm and check that who are the users not using this for last 6 months or this thing. Automatically, their account will be blocked or maybe erased from the storage, right? So they will basically do this thing. So to keep what are the only data that are required, because data storing is also a cost, and that is why there are also data archiving that are also big projects that one takes it up. Okay, but please remember, if you have anything you share into the social media or this thing, if it goes to the cloud, it's very difficult to delete those. Only those things are basically, again, the backup are done and those will be stored somewhere else, right? So those are some of the major security reasons one need to think through and one need to take care while using the cloud platform, right? So let's move on to the next slide. Any questions before we move on to the next slide? I hope this was quite interesting for you all. Hello, students.
Yes, sir.
Good. So let's move on to the machine learning, right? We have been talking of machine learning for a lot of time. So what is machine learning? Yes, students.
So, machine learning is a concept where a machine learns because of training given by the humans on a given set of data.
Good. So let's go through this. So we have got artificial intelligence, right? So any technique which enables computers to mimic the human behavior. So machine learning is basically a subset, you need to remember that, of AI, right? And which is statistically the methods used which enables machine to improve with the experience. And deep learning is again subset of the machine learning, which takes the computation of multi-layer neural network feasible, right? So this is how we can understand with what is the machine learning. We understand what are the patterns or basically what are the data, and using that we will help for the later on in using AI about the predictions. Now I move on to the how machine learning is an application of AI. So machine learning, what it does is a field of inquiry developed or devoted to understanding and building the methods that learn, and that is the method that leverages data to improve the performance on some set of tasks, right? So you are aware of this, how you can improve the basically some of the tasks or basically some of the methods and based on the past data. The use and the development of the computer system that are able to learn and adopt without following the explicit instructions by using the algorithms and statistical models to analyze and draw interfaces from patterns in data, right? So this is how the machine learning has been used, where using the past data based on some algorithm, right, or statistical models, or there will be some formulas, or we will create some kind of rules engine. Based on that, we'll draw those data and from these patterns. For example, if you see that people, right, are basically you take for Swiggy, right? Now, I hope some of you are using Swiggy, isn't it? Hello, students.
Yes, sir.
Now, you will find the Swiggy gives you between 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. a good discount of maybe 120 rupees if you purchase that time, because they found based on the pattern that the number of users or people, right, at that time basically use very less orders. Now, if I give a good discount, then what will happen? People will start buying that. And also they will not give it to all the shops or all the basically restaurants that is marked there. You will go and check that, right? They will give it to the particular restaurants which are not moving at that time. Now, using that, they will basically enable you to go and purchase that so that they will have a better business. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Understood. Okay. If an application of artificial intelligence, it gives a devices the ability to learn from their experience and improve their self without doing any coding. For example, when you shop from any website, it shows related search like people who bought it and also saw this. So if you go to Amazon, right, what happens? You will find that based on your previous search, based on your previous purchase, they will basically, those items will come in the front, or it will be in the list, those will be above the other, right? So based on that, what you can do is that you can basically select, or sometimes they will also try to give you some better discounts, right? And so that you are able to purchase those. So these are all done using the machine learning. So machine learning, what it does, it goes to the past history, looks into what you've been doing, and based on that, using the algorithm, business rules, it able to provide what are the future prediction. And based on that, you will going to help you in your basically selection or in your journey, so that you are able to save some time. Okay. Now, how the machine learning is linked to AI. The machine learning is seen as a part of an artificial intelligence. Machine learning algorithm build a model based on sample data known as the training data in order to make the predictions or decisions without being explicitly programmed to do so. Right? So this is how the AI comes into the picture, and with the combination of AI and ML, you are able to, without less human touch, you are able to get your results. Machine learning algorithms are used in a wide variety of applications such as medicine, email filtering, speech recognition, and computer vision, where it is difficult or unfeasible to develop conventional algorithms to perform the need task. For example, if you want to filter basically some kind of spam mails, now if you want to do manually, it will take a lot of your time. I hope you have seen sometimes you get so many spam mails, but where is your original mails, right? It doesn't come to that. So it really helps you so that you can go and do and your work much faster rather than checking which are the spam mails and going one after another and putting into the spam box. Isn't it, student? Hello, students.
Yes, sir.
Now, using the speech recognition, what happens? Everybody has got a different way of talking, right? Using the speech recognition, you were able to basically, the machine can start or it can process, right? So that can be also help in your identity, right? Now, also, there are multiple such cases that you have seen in the past and we have discussed also, isn't it? I move on to the next is how machine learning supports the predictive analytics. A subset of machine learning is closely related to computation statistics, which focuses on making predictions using the computers, but not all machine learning is statistical learning, right? Some implementation of machine learning use data and neural network in a way that mimics the working of biological brain. So this is what we are becoming into the deep learning slowly. So what happens? It basically mimics the working of a biological brain. That is what the machine learning is done. It basically understands what the human is doing and try to replicate that in a way. And of course, we use some business rules. And based on that, it helps us to make whatever desired result. In this application across business problems, the machine learning is also referred to as predictive analytics. So using the data, using the basically, we will some business rules and algorithm, it will enable us to do some prediction. Now, what is the trend that is happening? For example, how many, if you go to Flipkart or Amazon, now how many of the people are going into which kind of mobile, the variant, what is the price range they're looking at? So based on that, they can make some predictive analysis. Okay, this is the price range, or this is the mobile, they're going for Android, iOS. whatever it is, right? Or this is kind of basically the model they are looking at, and based on that they can come with some predictive analytics. Based on that, the manufacturer also can do some kind of a production or can bring this product into the market. Now, I do not know how many of you know, have you heard of the company or store called Zara? Hello,
Sir.
students.
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, so Zara is one of the leading, basically, the brands you will see, and they always come up with the latest, basically, apparels or the dresses or the shoes that are in the market, right? And what they do is that whatever the old thing is there, they are basically eliminated from the store, right? They don't keep more than 2 months of basically old, you will find a product in their store. So they do a lot of predictive analytics, and they find what is the trend that will be there in next month, couple of months, or after a quarter. So already they will ask all the manufacturers to manufacture those, and immediately they will put those into the store. So all the places in Zara, you will find all new trends that are available. That is basically how they work. So they see when the people coming into the store, what they're basically looking at based on the questions or market trends. They do a lot of research, and based on that, they come with this or that type of products or apparels that people will be like to have it. And based on that, they will basically manufacture it, because you cannot manufacture today and you cannot sell it tomorrow, right? It also takes time, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So they will also have logistic. For example, some of the things will be manufactured in China, some will be manufactured in Italy, somewhere in different places. Now they need to assemble, get those things and put it into the store. So that also is a big logistics, right? Now, if you take Benetton, you heard of Benetton, right? Hello, students.
Yes, sir. We have heard.
So how does Benetton works? Benetton, you will find, is that they manufacture actually the white t-shirts. I'm just giving an example of t-shirts, right? So they will send it to basically multiple cities or this thing. And they have got a local unit where, based on the demand of that area, they will basically do the coloring. So that is why you will have beautiful colors of Benetton t-shirts coming out, right? For example, in the South, just giving an example, even Bangalore, if you go, you will find more of a green, blue, and yellow, right? Maybe if you go to the north, you will find black, purple, and orange, right? Maybe in the east, you will see in the store, they have got more of sky blue or basically different versions of blue. So this is where they do analytics or analysis or prediction, or depending upon the trend of basically of the customers, and based on that, they basically in the stores you will find those kind of products, right? So that they can make the maximum profit. So you have seen different companies does different approach. Maybe these are the things you were not aware. This is how basically the corporate works, right? So Benetton in the factories, the main factory, they will only produce white t-shirts. They don't produce those beautiful colors that you see in the market, right? So this is how each and every corporate works on the different basically parameters. Understood, students? Now,
Yes, sir.
so I hope you have gone to the McDonald's, right? You have gone to the McDonald's store, right? Or you have McDonald's burgers.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So do you know what is McDonald's main business? Hello, students. Okay, you may be thinking that burgers is very, very low cost. It's not the main business.
Real estate
French
business.
fries, sir.
Yeah, real estate is one, and then toys. So they will come with all latest toys, and this campaign will be there. With the kids, you will find whatever the new thing is coming, they will basically attract those toys. And if you want to purchase, they will be good. The cost will be a little bit on the higher side. So that is, they make huge margin on that. And real estate is another. You will find all the prime locality, they will have the store, right? So once people started coming, those it become this thing, and that is also one of the income. One is real estate, toys. The burgers is of their business, but you will find it is basically kind of the revenue out or the margin out of is quite less. And these toys, for example, again, they do a lot of analysis, you will find whichever the movies that are coming up, right? Based on those, the toys will be manufactured, right? And they basically do an analysis or predictive analytics. What are the movies which, how popular it will be, and based on that, they have to give the order. So immediately the movie is released, and they will not find they cannot manufacture today and get the things by end of today, right, or tomorrow. So those logistics they need to think through, take care long before, so that with the release of the movies, all those toys are also there, isn't it, student?
Sir.
Are you with me? So I've seen that now the toys
Yes,
also
yes.
get changed
Yes, sir.
with the movies and what is the trend
Yes,
that is there in the market, right? Good. So you are getting some live example of how basically corporate works and how we are taking advantage of AI ML. Okay. What happened? Students still keep on joining. Okay, so what you understand is that now with the machine learning, right? So it can do a lot of things, right? So the modern day machine learning has two objectives. One is to classify the data based on models which have been developed. The other purpose is to make predictions for future outcome based on these data models. So hypothetically, algorithm specific to classifying data maybe use the computer vision, right? And with the supervised learning in order to train and to classify the cancerous moles. For example, there are some moles, right? Now, which are the cancerous moles? Based on some supervised learning, they can identify and they can basically help without any human touch intervention. So this is how using the machine learning without any human touch, they can able to identify. Right? So a machine learning algorithm for stock trading may inform the traders of future potential predictions. Now, how many of you are from finance background? Hello, students.
Yeah, I am from finance. Huh?
Very good. So you need to know how to read balance sheet and profit and loss.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So based on the balance sheet and profit and loss, based on the trends, now you will find if a balance sheet is published, it is also published the corresponding to last year, isn't it? So based on that, one can understand whether there is an improvement or there is a decrease. Now, there are basically a finance wizards who are expert in finance. They will also check if the profit has gone down, right? For example, bank. Now, if the NPA or the non-performing assets, if they increase that basically from maybe 2% to 3%, right? Though the profit has decreased, that means they know that the provision for that they have increased. So actually the bank has not performed bad. So there are a lot of clauses or subsections one need to go through and understand. Maybe the company is coming with kind of a capacity increase, right? Or they are basically using, they see in the trend that basically the company is able to manage the expenses in a much better way, right? So that means there is a potential of the stock prices to go up, or they find the revenue year to year is increasing. That means the company is in a growth path, and so they don't have worry about the growth. So based on that, the future stock prices will go up, and this is how also using the AI and ML, one can help to predict basically which of the stocks will go up. I'm not going into technicalities of stock market because who are not from that line will not able to understand the beta, how the basically are calculated, right? The technical aspect of it. But at least there are a lot of predictor analysis can be done. There can be a lot of basically through which one can predict whether the stock will go up or not. Okay. Now, what is data mining? So data mining is a very, very interesting thing, right? Now, some of you can think through as a data mining also as a career. So data mining, right, is a type of analytical process that identifies meaningful trends and relationship in the raw data. And this is used to predict future data. So data mining uses the tools that comes through large batches of data sets with a broad range of techniques to discover the data structure, such as anomalies, patterns, journey, or corrections that has been existing over more than 30 to 40 years. Maybe it is from the early 1990s, right? The data mining that are being used today are consisting of mostly the three principles, or I can say the disciplines that will come to you. So next is the data mining softwares can search through terabytes of data and provide us with valuable insights of pattern, journey, and relationship in the data in the matter of seconds or matter of minutes.
So sorry to interrupt. Are you still sharing the screen, or?
I'm sharing the screens. Okay, if I'm not sharing, please let me unshare. And let me share it again. Please let me know.
Yes, we can see now. Thank you.
Okay, maybe some problem. Okay, so can you see the data mining screen, right?
Yes, yeah.
So the machine learning and data mining often employ the same methods and overlap significantly. But while machine learning focuses on prediction based on known properties learned from the training data, and data mining focuses on the discovery of previously unknown properties of data, right? This is the analysis step of knowledge discovery in databases. So using that, we need to understand, for example, we use Celonis. If it is SAP, it's a Signavia. Those are the tools. So there are multiple tools. I'm just giving a few of them. In data mining, we can use to understand the data. In machine learning, performance is usually evaluated with respect to the ability to reproduce the known knowledge, while in the knowledge discovery and data mining, the key task is the discovery of previously unknown knowledge. So you need to understand what is the difference between a data mining and machine learning. Now, as I was saying you, there are three kind of principles, whatever you can say. First is the statistics, the numerical study of the data relationship that is used in data mining. I'm talking about data mining now. Next is the artificial intelligence, the extreme like human like behavior they want to understand, and like the intelligence that displayed by the software or machines, they want to have that. Next is the machine learning, the ability to automatically learn from the data with minimum human assistance, right? And using these techniques, the data mining helps to provide more insights into the complex structure of unstructured and structured data, right? To provide accurate insights and better predictions of data, right? So then this can be used by the companies to anticipate and solve problems for the future and make informed decisions to mitigate what? Risk and size of the new opportunities to grow. Understood, student?
Got it, sir.
Good. So you can see there are so many things for you, right? So only thing is that you need to think through what is your passion, what you want to do, right? Each and every area has got huge potential, right? Now, some of the steps of data mining. The first can be outlining of business goals. What is your goals? You need to outline to understand the business objective thoroughly, or to allow you to set up your most accurate project parameters, which includes the time frame, right? And the scope of data, the primary objective of the program, and the criteria needed to identify whatever the project you want to do in question. So you have to first identify the scope and also the project, what you need to do, and the criteria needed to identity is success. So once you identify the problem and issue, then you can identify how you want to resolve it and the success for it. So that is the first steps on the data mining. Next is understanding the data sources. For example, what are the data sources you're going to take, whether it's CRM, Excel, and where it is those data sources are there. Now you think for an SAP implementation of this thing. If it is a non-SAP system, you want to migrate your data from the non-SAP system to SAP system. Your data can be in heterogeneous system or some homegrown system. And that is not as per the tables of SAP, right? Now in SAP, you have got, if you go to S4HANA, you got SC Docker table, you got Mad Docs table for the logistics, but if it is ECC, you have got multiple tables, right? Now, of course, nobody is now going to implement on ECC. So they will all go for S4HANA, but those, as per the table format, you need to bring those data. So you need to understand, right? What are the data sources and what are the data structure also on that. And based on that, you need to think through how you can to get the data. So third comes, right? Preparing of the data. So you need to think through how you're going to prepare your data from those source system, which is not in line with your target system, right? So this involves some ETL process or extract. You need to transform and load the data to your target system from the source, right? This prepares the data from the various selected sources. Then whatever the data you got it, you need to cleanse it also. For example, you have the one customer, right? Maybe on source system, you've got same customer 50 times. Now, if you not clean the data, then what will happen? Again, you have to have the 50 master data created in your ERP system. So what you need to do, you have cleaned data, create only one customer master, right? And then all the transaction to that customer, you need to map it properly. So that when you move it from your source to your target system, you have the clean data in your target system, and you have done the mapping so that all your open line items or transactions, you're moving it from your source to target system. That is also taken care. So the data from the various selected sources are cleansed if required. Next is collated, and after that analyzing of the data, at this stage, you have to organize the data and feed it into some advanced applications, or some you can create some programs, right? And based on that, you can move it. And sometimes what you can do using the machine learning, you can create some algorithm and can identify the patterns that can help to identify the relationship and the patterns. With that, what you can do, you can take some decisions and focus on future trends, right? And this applications or organization of the elements of data is also known as the data points. So using this data, you can basically help you for, depending upon the pattern of the data, your decision, or you can do predictive also analysis. Right, student? So you can see how data mining can also help you. Next is that you can also standardize and those data. For example, if you think of a material master, it has got in SAP, it got more than 800 fields, but we don't migrate, get the data for 800. So what we do, we standardize and already create a template, for example, and maybe only 70, 80 fields that need to be populated from the source system. So those are the data using some rules, those data are getting it, put it into that master. So once the whole template is created, put in a flat file and load it into SAP. Yes, you are asking some question. If you allow me, just let me complete data mining and you can ask me. Next is the reviewing of the results. You need to review the results. And last but not the least, some deployment and implementation you need to do based on your using your data mining, all the information. Now, for example, Groupon, if you have been using the coupons, they are the world's one of the largest provider of coupons. So what they do using terabytes of data, they do a data analysis and the relationships of between the different data and help the organization to identify the emerging trends within their audience segment that could be leveraged on. And based on that, they provide what is the best discount they can provide and which area they can provide, and they provide the coupon codes. And based on that, one can basically get those coupon codes to basically get some more discounts, right? And they can buy that product. Yeah, you were saying something. Just tell me.
There was a minor interruption, and we started off from a data mining slide. So within this time, we missed some previous 3-4 slides. Can we have a look at those slides?
Sure. No problem. Let me know from where you missed it. Have you seen this slide?
This one we have seen, sir.
So this is, you have seen this one?
Yeah, this one also we have seen, sir.
You have seen this one?
Yeah, we have seen, sir.
Okay. This one, how machine learning can help predictive analysis?
Yeah, this one we have missed, sir.
Okay, so this talks about basically how using the machine learning, you can have basically the predictive analytics, right? Using some kind of algorithm logic you can build in, right? Or business rules. And based on that, what you can do, it helps you in your predictive analytics, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is about the future predictions. So this is basically Alan during in his white paper. So those are basically renowned people in his white paper about the computing machinery and intelligence. Right? There's a question how machine can think. So that is what he was saying. There are some moles and there are some cancerous moles. How a machine learning, using machine learning, one can basically think through and identify those cancerous moles without a human touch. So, right? So if you have a algorithm or you can create a business rules, based on that, one can identify those cancerous moles without any human touch and how it can be done. Going through the previous data models or previous data history. Okay. Any question? Can I move on? Good. So then we were in the data mining slide. So I hope this is where we were when you asked me. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So next I move on to the approaches. So the machine learning approaches are traditionally divided into 3 broad categories, depending on the nature of the signal feedback available to the learning system. One can be supervised learning, right? Using the supervised learning, the computer is presented with example inputs and the desired output given by a teacher, right? And the goal is to learn a general rule and maps inputs to outputs. So this is one way of learning. Next is unsupervised learning. No labels are given to the learning algorithm, leaving it on its own to find the structure in its input. So unsupervised learning can be the goal in itself, discovering the hidden pattern in data and means towards the aim and future learning. One is that the teacher tells you, like I'm telling you what need to be done. That is called supervised learning. So what happens in the machine, they put a picture of a cat and they say this is a cat. Okay. Then the machine based on that identifies that as a cat. Okay. Now, for example, they have got a unsupervised learning is where they have got multiple animals. Now, based on that, they basically try to find it out based on some algorithms. If this is basically kind of a face that comes, that means this is a cat and this is not a dog. So based on that, it is called unsupervised learning. Reinforcement learning, a computer program interacts with a dynamic environment in which it must perform certain goals, such as driving a vehicle or playing a game against our opponent. As it navigates its problem space, the program is provided feedback that analogous to rewards, which it tries to maximize. Now, I hope some of you have played some chess game or some cards in your machine, right? Laptop or in a mobile. So those are basically using the reinforcement learning, the games that has been done. The computer interacts with you in a dynamic environment and helps you do your moves that takes the next move. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Great. Next is limitation. Although the machine learning has been transformative in some fields, machine learning programs often fail to deliver expected results, right? So there are some cases. So it can be lack of data, lack of access of the data bias. That is one of the another reason. It can be, if it is a less data, it can have a data bias, right? And privacy problems, badly chosen task and algorithm, wrong tools and people, and lack of resources and evaluation problems. Now, for example, I was giving an example of a kind of a cat, right? Now, if you have got basically there's a cat, lion, and maybe a dog, right? Now, without basically, if it is lack of access to the other knowledge, if it doesn't know how the lion looks like, right? Now, it can have a problem and it will say a lion also a cat, right? Just because it has got lack of information and yet has not seen a lion. So similarly, if the data that has been selected and it is very, very less, or there is basically there is a bias also. Now, for example, it has been seen regarding the trend also analysis. If the computer can make a bias also. For example, there are, if you see some kind of a music, now person A likes basically classical music, right? Person B also like a classical music, right? Now, if there is a team of 5 people, right, then if it been asked, there is basically another person like rock music, right? But if we ask them to select a group of 5, what will be the predictive analysis, what music they may like? They can see that 2 people like basically classical music. They will say, okay, the predictive analysis for this is that all the group of 5 will like classical music. Maybe not be the case. So this is where the problem of bias also comes into place. In 2018, a self-driven car from Uber failed to detect a pedestrian and it was killed in a collision. So similarly, Tesla is also facing some issues where there has been an accident where it could not detect. So there are some failures that has happened. Of course, with that, nobody is stopping the innovation and this thing, and people are still working on, and we are moving ahead towards more of AI ML, right? And also, Atoms has been used by machine learning in healthcare with IBM Watson system, and there have been also some cases where it has not able to perform what has been the desired result that has been done. And as you know, those all programs, multi-billion dollars has been invested. Any questions? Can we move on? Yes, student.
You just mentioned in IBM Watson system, system failed to deliver even after years of time and billions of dollars invested. So here
Yes. Yes, tell me.
You are spending billions of dollars to make one machine an intelligent doctor. Either you could have spent the same billions of dollars to create some big universities where you could have created some thousands of doctors. So the ratio is 1 robot to 1,000 doctors. It's something like that, sir. So how you think here in terms of cost benefit analysis of training one robot to be a doctor as good as a human being doctor, sir?
See, doctor, okay, good question. Doctors are humans, right? So here, all our effort and research are going on to create the next gens. Now, if you see some of the operations nowadays is taken care with basically robots, right? So that you can have a precision operations, because the number of failures, for example, in the eye, the lot of operations are happening nowadays where doctors basically program the robots and they do the operation. They don't do it, doctor. But in the back, the doctors need to be there so that only depending upon the patient, they fix basically the parameters, and based on that, the operation is done. Of course, they will always be there to view what is happening. So to reduce the number of loss, to reduce the number of failures, machines have been built for that. So if there is no research, then we will be going back to the Stone Age and not we are going into the next gen, right? So huge investments are happening and will going to happen for the innovations. Just to let you know, since you are learning ERP also, globally 70% of the ERP implementation are failure. Then are the companies stopping for ERP implementation? They are not, right? So with that learning, they are moving ahead with a new implementation. Every organization, large organization, you will see every 1 or 2 years, they go for a organizational structure change because the world is dynamic and they need to fit into this world. And if you have to fit into this world, they need to basically do a continuous change or improvement, right? Otherwise, they will be out of the market. I just want to give you another example. You have seen the change, how far your mobile phone has gone through. If you remember, I think 20 years back or 25 years back, the mobile phone, I think Nokia or Motorola, if you see those phones, right, you can only just make a call. You cannot have any view. With the change into the innovations that are happening around the world, right, you have seen that mobile phone, you can do a video call, right, anywhere in the world, wherever the internet is there. you can use it for multiple purposes. For example, you can track it, you can do an online order. So there has been a convergence of technologies that is happening. Without an innovation, do you think that will be happening? It will not be, right? You have seen that during the olden days, right? You have to go and buy a film from the market. Now those companies has gone bankrupt or sunset. Nobody goes and buy those films because the digital world has come. And using the digital world, of course, in your mobile also has got cameras and you're taking the snaps. I think very few people nowadays carry a digital camera along with the mobile phone. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So if you want to have an improvement, right, you need to do an investment. When I was in Hewlett Packard, it was a $120 billion company, right? Almost 8 to 10% of the amount is to go for R&D. I hope you understand what is the money it is to go for R&D. Of course, later on, the CEO got changed. The CEO wanted to see the profitability of the company. Then he drastically reduced the R&D cost. And what happened to the HP? HP, I think, is now broken up into multiple companies, right? So if you want to have an innovation edge over the other companies, what happens? You need to do an R&D. You have to keep yourself ahead of the competition. If you are not able to keep it yourself ahead of the competition, what happens? You will one day will be lose in this competition and you will be out of the market, right? So one need to think through why it is very, very important to spend money on R&D and innovation, because every innovation don't think are successful. Otherwise, there's so many new business coming here, right? Every would have do a success, but believe me or not, 90% of the business do not see the sunlight, and they are absolutely could not make money, and they have to wind their company or their corporate and has to go off from the market, right? So if anybody has got an entrepreneurship in their thought process, they know that maybe one time they may not be successful, maybe next time they will be successful, and they can do a good amount of business. You have seen Tata, right? If you know about Tata also, Tata actually went bankrupt, right? And from there, they had got huge loss, but it is basically the entrepreneur spirit they had. And from that, they turned it around. And today is one of the most respectable company in India and among the world also. And they have been acquiring so many companies around the world, right? You have seen they have acquired Jaguar, right? They have acquired so many companies. Accor, this is one of the largest steel manufacturing company. They have acquired basically Air India, right? So,
Yes.
So that is basically the entrepreneurship they're having, right? So it is basically, if they've not thought of after going bankrupt of this thing, you see Amitabh Bachchan, right?
Yes, sir.
He also became bankrupt, right? Then he got turned around when he became Kaun Banega Crorepati. He came to and then he started making a lot of money. So do you know how he got bankrupt, right? He basically hosted Miss World, right? And in fact, near Bangalore. And there was a lot of restrictions. He could not, and he had to spend huge amount of money. And he lost huge amount of money. I think more than 300 crores he lost. And he had to basically become absolutely bankrupt without no money, nothing. And then, of course, he got the chance and came back with Kaun Banega Crorepati. And then, of course, you know the history now. And he's having good amount of money. So that comes to everybody's life and also to the business. If the people do not have the willing to do something different from others, they will not be able to do it. So similarly, the companies invest and will going to invest. Everything will not see the day of the light, but if those are basically the prudent businessmen, will make it always happen, right?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, now bias, a machine learning system trained specifically on the current customer may not be able to predict the needs of new customer groups that are not represented in the training data, right? As I mentioned to you, when trained on man-made data, the machine learning is likely to pick up the constitutional and the unconscious bias already presented in the society. So if they have think that, for example, the main, just giving an example, that between 18 to 19 has to go only to study engineering, medical, right? And that is the bias in the society. Then if you ask the computer, it will only predict that. Whereas there are so many other lines that one can do. And every line has got a sky is not even the limit, right? So that is what basically sometimes there is a problem with the computer or the machine learning. So one need to take care of that. So coming to, in summary, so what we learned from machine learning is that machine learning can automate many tasks, especially the ones that humans can perform with their innate intelligence. Replicating this intelligence to machine can be achieved only with the help of machine learning. Next is machine learning helps in creating models that can process, analyze large amount of complex data to deliver accurate results. These models are precise and scalable and functions with less turnaround time. By building such precise machine learning models, businesses can leverage profitable opportunities and avoid unknown risk. Right? Next is image recognition. You have seen the image recognition using your phone. If you have got basically your face as an image, it can recognize and then it can open. Similarly, using the face recognition, if you want to tag any of your friend, you can just tag it from anywhere in the social media, in the Facebook. Text generation and many other use cases of finding the application in the real world. Business can automate routine tasks. It also helps to automate and quickly create models for data analysis. Various industries depends on the vast quantities of data, optimize their operations, and make intelligent decisions. So you have seen the chatbot. That is why I've given you to present. You have been in the corporate based on the tickets and this thing, ticket analysis. Those basically already low-hanging fruits, or they can automatically get it resolved. They can answer those questions. So you don't require a manual or human to answer this question, and that saves a lot of time. So any question till now, student? Hello, students.
No, sir.
So some of you have been learning Python. I think Python is a very, very important language for the AI and ML. It is mandatory to learn the programming language, preferably Python, right? Along with the required analytical mathematical knowledge. So
Sir, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
Maybe it's a vast one, or I don't know, like how to like whether to present it here. But then, can you give us some insights on how this like ChatGPT is been a trend now, and everybody is using? So irrespective of the irrespective of the disciplines, like whether it may be civil engineering or software engineering or so, whatever you ask, it will give us the answer which is relevant. Like I tried myself, and I was surprised to see the answer which is most relevant to the topic. Like, can you just give us the insight, like how, based on what it works, like a person whoever has developed that, how they collate so like such a vast data and put it in one program and present it to the public?
Yeah, good question. It's using the open source. They're able to collect huge quantity of data, terabytes of data. So they have basically, that is a big challenge to big companies, right? To Google or to other companies also. So that's why ChatGPT is the buzzword now, because using that, you're getting a lot of your answers. Whereas if you want to search for those, you were not able to get it also. And using some open sources, this has been developed. So, and using some terabytes of data, they have developed it, and which is very, very, you are absolutely right. You get a lot of information and it is more accurate and this thing. So in some of the corporates also, we've been told to take help of ChatGPT wherever possible, so that at least you can save time. And that is basically, of course, the trend that are also coming up. So as you can see, the way people used to work nowadays, it's getting changed. So somebody was asking why billions of dollars has been spent and still has got failed, right? So if you see the share prices of your owner for the Facebook, WhatsApp, or Instagram has fallen drastically, right? I'm talking about Meta, if you know about it. Why it has fallen down? Because it created kind of an atmosphere that it will be able to use that, right, to provide a lot of information. The social network will be coming. Of course, you have to understand, if you remember one day I told you the crate about the company, which is able to do a storing of huge quantity of data. Maybe after a couple of years, you will see that valuation of that company goes up like anything. Because nowadays, it is basically the company which has got maximum access to the data lake or the information that is going to rule the world. Based on that, you can do the predictive analysis. You have the analysis of the data. For example, if you have got the past history of all the credit card bills, all the expenses you have got, all the basically sites you have gone to, the social sites, all the searches you have done, right? All the videos you have seen, the Netflixes, whatever you have got, Z, or maybe, and then based on that, if somebody asks about you, they can provide a more accurate about yourself, right? You can understand there are some pros and cons, but looking at it, so the privacy of the people will be a big question mark. Next is that the informations from everywhere, anywhere that is available, using this open sources, it can derive those data and can provide it to you. So by doing this, it will be very, very useful and convenient. The most important thing is that the uses of this data. You will get tons and tons of data, isn't it? You have searched the ChatGPT, but it has given a good amount of data. The question is that how will you use it? Yes. Hello, are you asking you the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, I agree.
Right? So you need to be smart enough to use that data, because otherwise you will get lost into that ocean of data.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
Right? So they're basically using the AI. It can help you and it can trim the information which you are looking at. So that is another kind of research that is going on. So ChatGPT, for example, provides a huge quantity of data. How that data can be made useful to you. Okay?
Yes, yeah. And one more related question is about the data privacy that you mentioned. Like how that can be tackled, sir, in future. As this data is very much useful for us to make predictions, of course, and give accuracy results. That's also agreed. But then, what about the data privacy? How that can, whether it will be compromised? Of course, it cannot be compromised, because that will turn out a huge dangerous, interface or software as such. So how do you see that, sir?
So that comes the cyber security and the security aspect. A very good question. Now, one need to have a solid security aspect. You need to have your hacking basically team that is called the white hackers, ethical hackers, to check and ensure that whole system is foolproof. Now, coming to the hacking or basically the privacy, in a lot of cases, in case of Facebook, forget about Facebook, they've been selling the data. So that has also been found. Regarding the Ola, for example, the credit card, some Spains or this thing, it was basically hacked by somebody and those got caught. Now you have seen a lot of spam calls comes in using your name, right?
Yes. Yes.
They're calling whether you want to open a bank account or you want to open this thing or you want to go this or that. From where they're getting the information? Because some social media, somewhere they've got all the information, and based on that, they've already created a storage, right? Now, you can understand if the Aadhaar card, you have got biometric, you've got all the information. Now, for example, Aadhaar card is linked to a PAN, right? Whenever you go, any expenses, anything you do. Now, if this somebody hack into those information, they will know each and everything. For example, if you go on a mobile, you can look into wherever you're going, it tracks, right? And you can wanted to see from where last one month or 30 days, whichever places you have gone, it tracks each and everything, isn't it? Now,
yes, yeah.
From that, one can know, for example, not taking it lightly, For example, your parent, you say that I'm going to go to the college, and ultimately you've gone to your friend, but your parent is smart enough to check the Google history. They can absolutely go and check where you exactly are gone. So you think your privacy is gone, right?
Yes, correct.
Right. So that is the cons also on the side of it. Both. System provide a lot of good benefits, but of course, one basically if he's smart enough, they know how to manage that also. Now, if you keep your basically the tracking online in your mobile, right? Then wherever you're going, basically the location, it will track everything for you. But if you do not keep your location on, you cannot book basically like Uber, Ola, you cannot book it also. Or if you want to order for Swiggy or this thing, that will track from your location, and based on that, it will give you all the nearby restaurants or this thing. So I hope you understand, right?
Yes, I get it. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Great. Okay, so of course, this is based on the linear algebra and data analysis, right? Now you have got mathematical analysis, probability theory, and statistics for machine learning, multivariate calculus, algorithms, and complex optimizations, and Python's. L2 can teach you more on this. I'm not going to go on this. So these are basically some of the subjects that are used in AI and ML. Okay. And how does ML work? The three major building blocks of a machine learning systems are the models, that is parameters, and the learners. The model is the system which makes the predictions. The parameters are the factors which are considered by the model to make predictions, right? The learner makes the adjustment in the parameters and the model to align the predictions with the actual results. So what you understand, there are three things one need to understand. It is basically the model, the system that makes the predictions. What is the model, how it is run? The parameters are the factors that are considered for the model to make these predictions, and the learners makes the adjustment. So you have to make the adjustment in the parameters or the business rules, algorithm, right? And to align your whatever the prediction you want to have with the actual results. Okay. Now, which language is the best for ML? So Python is one of them. It's not the only one. Is famous for readability and relatively lower complexity as compared to other programming languages. Machine learning applications involve complex concepts like calculus and linear algebra, which takes a lot of effort and time to implement. Python helps to reduce this burden with quick implementation for the machine learning engineers to validate an idea. Another benefit using Python is the machine learning is the pre-built libraries, because it has got pre-built libraries and you can basically drag and drop and use it for your building your logic. Now coming to the question, you have understood about AI, you understood about ML, so there are some differences. So AI manages more comprehensive issues of automating a system utilizing the fields such as cognitive science, image processing, machine learning, neural networks, or computerization. On the other hand, machine learning influences a machine to gain and learn from external environment. The external environment could be anything such as external storage devices, sensors, electronic segments, among others. So electronic storage devices, sensors, you can understand this is all talking about IoT, isn't it? Yes, students.
Yes, sir.
Artificial intelligence enables machines and frameworks to think and to do tasks as humans do, while machine learning depends on the inputs provided or queries requested by users. Right? Any questions?
So in previous ML model, you
Yes.
said three things, of which one was learner. So actually, who is the learner here? Is
It's you who are doing the programming. See, it's basically it's not a human. It cannot think like you, nah? Isn't it? So it has to be, program has to be done, right? How can you do the analysis? And that is basically the tweaking of the program has to be done, right? The model, the business logic, the algorithm. That one has to do so that it gets the result. See, you are much smarter than robots and computers. You have to think, right? So never think they can be of any challenge. right? So you are already building the computer, or you're only building that AI and ML, right? So it is you who is doing it. So you are much smarter. Got it?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now we have understood the difference also. Now you have understood the facial recognition and image recognition. The most common application of machine learning is facial recognition. And the simplest example of this application is iPhone. You can basically using the facial recognition, you can recognize your face and then it can open, or maybe you have kept some of your folders. You want to keep it only for you to view. Nobody should view it, right? Now, for example, you've got some friends or younger brothers, sisters. You don't want them to view those your folders. You have kept a extra that only with your facial recognition that will open, isn't it? To protect your privacy. Yes, students.
Yes, sir.
So there are a lot of use cases of facial recognition, mostly in security purpose, like identifying the criminals, searching of missing individuals, enforcing investigation, intelligence marketing, diagnose diseases. I told you about the diseases also. You can using the facial recognition that has been done, track attendance in schools or some other users, right? So this is one of the, in offices, what they do, they basically can use fingerprint or basically biometric or can have a facial recognition, and based on that, they will allow the people to come in. Generally, where the servers are kept, they keep multi-layer of security, so no unauthorized persons are allowed into those premises. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, in case of airport, maybe you are not aware, there are people who are monitoring using the facial expressions, using your hand movement, leg movement, or this thing. They will try to analyze that you are basically not a suspicious person. If they find it to be a suspicious person, immediately they will call the nearby security person to check on that person. And then you will be kept up on the absolute the visual eye of those security persons, and also the monitor tracking it. And if you found to be too much suspicious of this thing, they will come and ask you to please come to the investigation room and start investigation. So you may not be aware, but there are multiple such CCTV cameras around the airport. Next time you go to the airport, you will find that. Okay. But maybe in the bare eyes, you cannot see that also. Next is automatic speech recognition. So it is abbreviated as ASR. Automatic speech recognition is used to convert speech into digital text. Applications lie in authenticating users based on their voice and performing tasks based on human voice inputs. Speech patterns and vocabulary are fed into the systems to train model. Presently, ASR system find a wide variety of applications in the following domain. Example, medical assistance, industrial robotics, forensic and law enforcement, defense and aviation, telecommunication industry, home automation and security, access control, IT, and consumer electronics. For example, in case of home automation or security access, there are basically, they will create using a facial recognition or using the speech, they will allow you to open the door. Similarly, you have seen using a basically voice recognition, you can open the fridge, TV, or you can washing machine, or you can start your AC. So those are the things also you can do, right? Then also with your movements, right? When you come to the room, the bedroom light will be switched on, and when you leave the room, it will get automatically switched on. Similarly, this is you have seen some of the offices also. It recognizes the movement. If the movement is not there, automatically switch off the lights. So thus, it also helps a lot of energy, right? So these are basically day-to-day use that are being used using the AI and ML. And based on that, we are seeing around the world a lot of important thing, and which is making our life much, much congenial, isn't it, student?
Yes, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
sir.
tell me.
Through this automatic speech recognition, can a system differentiate between the sounds produced by different persons?
Yes, absolutely. That is why, because everybody has got different tone, right? Everybody has got a vocab different. The way we speak is different, like a signature, right? Who are specialists in signature identification, identifiers, right? They can automatically identify that the signature is done by you or somebody else. Similarly, during the voice, everybody speaks in a different way or different tone, isn't it?
Okay.
It's basically it depends upon the multiple parameters, the decimal we're speaking, the language we're saying, the pronunciations of the words. So based on that, it has got a algorithm, and based on that, it recognizes. So it is fed into basically the memory of that system, and based on that, it recognizes it. Okay.
Okay, sir. And will it make use of the parameter like frequency of the sound, sir?
It has got multiple, as frequency is one thing, because everybody I say is that the different tone they talk, right? Some you will see the singers, somebody has a high pitch. If you know singing, somebody has got sings at a low pitch, right? So like if Lata Mangeshkar, for example, why people not able to sing, the she is able to sing, right? So that is why she's so famous, isn't it? So everybody has got her sister, for example, Usha, right? Or she also sings very good, fantastic songs, right? But why we differentiate between the two of them? Just give you an example. Both are one of the most well-known singers in Indian industry, right? Still, it's basically the song sung by Lata Mangeshkar we can immediately identify, right? Similarly, when Usha sings, we can immediately identify. Just give it, if you have a Kishore Kumar, right? Now you have Kumar Sanu, they maybe sing in some of the shows, they will come and sing the same song, right? But still, you can identify which song has been sung by Kishore Kumar, which has been sung by Kumar Sanu or some other person, right? Because everybody has got different way of singing that song, or the voice is different, okay? And that is how the speech recognition also takes into account. Now coming to AI and ML in financial services. Now, machine learning with the AI has many use cases in financial services. Machine learning algorithms provide an excellent detecting by frauds by monitoring the activities of each users and access, excuse me, and assess that if an attempted activity in a typical or that user or not. For example, in the banking industry, you will find that there are basically, if you use 3 times the password wrong, immediately it gets locked, right? Next is that they will also try to detect the transactions that has been used. Based on that, they have some. If you worked in bank audit, you will understand there are some kind of algorithms or some kind of basically based on that they want to will try to detect whether it falls under that or not. If it falls under that, automatically they will start investigating on those framework, right? So they will create the framework, and based on that they will do. So nowadays the audit firms also use basically machine learning to make the audit much faster, and they will use that to detect any frauds or errors. So financial monitoring to detect the money laundering activities is also a critical security use cases of machine learning. Now, if somebody from the bank account, a lot of foreign transaction is happening, they will also try to detect whether any money laundering has been done. And if they found that it has been found, for example, there was a particular IFSC code that has been used in and that has gone to some basically drug peddlers. Now, based on that, they try to find out who are the people who use this ISC code, and then basically they're using the kind of a machine learning, they could find it out, and then they could identify those culprits. Just give you an example. The machine learning along with AI also helps in making better trading decisions with the help of algorithm, and can analyze thousands of data sources simultaneously, credit scoring and underwriting, and some of the other applications. So in the trading also, the stock trading, a lot of help of AI and ML is also taken into care. For example, as I was mentioning you, what is basically with the revenue growth, whether the expenses is growing or not, or basically if the salary expenses is going up, or in the last few years, or there has been a sudden jump in the inventories. That means if the inventory jump has happened, that means the company is not able to sell the product. But if it is a seasonal goods, for example, sugar, right? So it has got a different trend every quarter. So all those are taken into account. And also depending upon the weather forecast and depending upon whether the sugar cane will be grow. So what will be the price of the sugar cane? That is the raw input for the sugar industry. And there is a huge demand of sugar, for example. So depending on all those parameters, one can take a basically create a algorithm logic, and based on that, one can predict basically what will be the price of the shares, right? So that can also help the trading community. The most common applications in our day-to-day life activities is the virtual personal assistants like Siri or Alexa, that you know, all of you, that basically ask them and they will provide you what are the informations that is already stored in those Siri or Alexa. For example, you ask Alexa to any songs that is there, it will go to this thing and play the song for you, right? So you have seen those in your day-to-day life, right? So next in healthcare, for example, in healthcare, you know, artificial intelligence and machine learning can diagnose of diseases, ailments which are otherwise difficult to diagnose. Like radiotherapy is also becoming better with the machine learning taking over. An early stage of drug discovery is another crucial application that which involves technologies such as precision medical and next generation sequencing. Right? The clinical trials cost a lot of time and money to complete and deliver the results. So applying this machine learning or deep learning, right, based on the predictive analysis, could improve these factors and give much better results. And machine learning technologies also are critical to make outbreak predictions, and scientists around the world are using these technologies to predict epidemic outbreaks. For example, you have seen the COVID. Now, it was, of course, China did not want to tell to the world that actual facts, and that created such a mess around the world. But if there has been basically more open, we could have avoided the whole overall COVID, and we could have much better life around the world during that time. Now, AI and ML in social media like Twitter, right? You've been used the Facebook, and whether you prefer to have Twitter to show you the best tweets first or a reasonably chronological timeline. These changes have been driven by Twitter's machine learning technology, and Twitter AI evaluates each tweets in real time and scores them according to the various metrics, right? Twitter algorithm then displays the tweets that are likely to drive the most engagements. This is determined on the individual basis. Twitter's machine learning text makes this decision based on the individual preferences. And also the Google search engine. I've explained to you the Google search engine also based on the preferences or whatever the past search history, and also what you have been looking at. Based on that, you will find those kind of words that are coming when you search. For example, you search a ball in your Google search. If you like soccer or football, it will automatically, the results of the soccer or the football words will be coming. Similarly, who like, for example, basketball, those people, the basketball, all the distinct preferences, basketball, all input for basketball will be coming. So similarly, in Netflix also, we have seen that depending upon the movies or whatever trends you're seeing, it can able to predict you, these are the movies or this thing that will be, you may like. So this is basically, we have walk you through how basically a speech recognition is done using the voice pickup and using the natural language understanding of how basically the natural language generation is done and the speech analysis is done and synthesis of that is done. So this is where using the speech, one can recognize the pattern, and using the whatever the data that is required, you can retrieve the data, you can process the data, or it can store the data. Right? So this is how we have done. So this is also, so I ask you to create the chatbot. You have already, some of you have presented, the others I want you to present. So with this, let me basically let me know if you have got any other questions. Yes, students.
No, from my side, sir.
So no questions from your side. So anybody who has got any other questions? So I want for the remaining people to present because you have not presented. So that is good for you only. But if you do not want to present, I will not hold you for the others, but we will move on to the new exciting chapters. So I will be looking forward to meet you in the next session. So till then, have a nice weekend. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.